Hi everyone, welcome. Are you a mom who is struggling with building resilience or wants to learn how to build resilience in the face of rejection from your adult child? You know, if that's you, that's what we're going to be talking about today. And for those of you that are new here to my channel, I just want to welcome you. My name is Sally Harris, and I am a mom who walked a difficult road with my own daughter for over 10 years. And building resilience is definitely something I did. So let's dive in. You know, building resilience, like what does that even mean, right? Building resilience, in my opinion, is doing the hard things, taking it day by day, knowing what your transformation is and figuring out what daily steps I need to do to get there. Because we all want the transformation, but yet we see someone who has this, you know, they overcame. You may look at me and think, oh, but her daughter came home. Well, let me tell you, it was not easy. And one of the biggest things that I always tell my moms is that even though my daughter did the hard work that she needed to do for us to be okay, really for her to be okay, it still would have never ended up as good as it did if I had not done my work. Because when you have a relationship, doesn't matter, you've got two people in a relationship. If only one of them is doing the work, it's not going to work out in the long run, right? And I had implemented so many bad, poor self-care behaviors, poor behaviors in myself, poor relationship behaviors in myself, that building resilience at way back then, I was actually running the other direction. And so that's why I want to talk about this today, because you know, there's some tips here, just really practical strategies to do to help you build that, to build the resilience and be able to move forward in the face of adversity. You know, I want to use the example, and this is not the same, but it is in a way. Like if you lost your job, would you feel that you were going to be able to be resilient after that? Would you just give up? Would you go find another job? Usually when that happens, it ends up being a gift in the long run, and you end up doing something or, you know, working at another company or whatever you're going to do. And later on down the road, you're like, oh, that actually was a gift, right? Because I've learned so much, or I actually am in a better spot financially, or, you know, whatever the case may be. If you put those same practical strategies in place for something like this, when you have, you know, lost a loved one for the meantime and you're trying to work through the rejection, self-care is going to be number one. You have got to take care of yourself in abundance. You know, just going for a little walk or eating a few vegetables, things like that, excuse me, is not going to cut it long term, right? You need to dive in and figure out things that you can do to have that transformation. What are the things where do you want to go, and then find those steps to get there. So in self-care, maybe like I've mentioned to you before, getting a massage every 2 weeks is something that I do. I used to think that was pampering myself. I've quickly learned, after all the pain that I've had, physical pain I've had in my body because of my emotional pain during this situation, I've learned after a short time that it is not just pampering Sally. It is a necessity. And if I end up going over 2 weeks, it's just what my body has become accustomed to. I need that self-care in that way. And maybe you do something else. Maybe for you, it's working out, which also is super, super important for many reasons. But that self-care journey, making sure you take time for you. And knowing that it's not selfish, right? So building resilience looks like that. It also, like we talked about in the last video, about building or joining a support group, getting that transformation you want, but being with like-minded people who understand you and are not judging you, I think is so crucial. That literally would be my number one thing that you should do. Whether it's my group or it's a different group. You need a group of moms who've been through and are going through what you're going through right now. Reframing your self-talk. You know, we talk about this a lot too, and reframing it. And, you know, we're going to have negative thoughts. We're going to have self-doubt. All those things are going to exist because we're human. But you get to choose what thoughts you're going to allow to continue, right? So reframing that, focusing on the positive, focusing on the hope, focusing on the future, that this isn't going to last long term. Again, I don't know how long this is going to last for you. I hope it doesn't last as long as our whole ordeal did from start to finish. I pray that doesn't happen. But I'll tell you, in my support group, my group coaching program that I have, Grit and Grace, more and more, and these are moms that were not expecting to hear from their son or daughter. They thought this is long term, all of these things. And more often, we're hearing more stories. My son contacted me. My daughter contacted me. These things are happening, and they happen every day. And I know we think that this is going to be long term, forever, but she said she never wants to talk to me again. Or he said, don't ever contact me again, right? And that's where you're at right now. But you have to build resilience in the face of all that rejection. And know that the rejection, a lot of times, has nothing or little to do with you. It's your son or daughter's internal struggles that they have to work through in order for them to be able to be in a healthy space. And then for you to do your work on this side of the fence, right? And then eventually, God willing, you're going to come back together. But if you have gone downhill while they're working on themselves, it's not going to work out. Like I said, two people in a relationship, they both need to do the work. And lastly, obviously, our mental health. I suffered from depression. I suffered from anxiety. I suffered from suicidal attempts. I suffered from all of that. And so I just want you to know that you're not alone in that either. And I want to make sure that you are seeking help for that. But I will be honest, there are many times where I had these horrible thoughts and that I didn't want to go on. But at the end of the day, it wasn't accurate. I just wanted the pain to stop. And a lot of the pain, while it is because of the lack of relationship with your child, a lot of it you're enduring yourself. For me, what that looked like, I was drinking in excess. I was not putting anything good in my body. I mean, you can't put garbage in and expect something good out, right? And so, if you need help with that as well, I'm definitely here. It's a very tough situation, but I know that you can be resilient. And I want you to think back to times in the past where you were resilient, like the moments in your life where you're like, I'm never going to get through this. Maybe it was a loss of job. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was a friendship or something, or you lost a parent and you think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get through this crisis. But you did, because you're here watching this. So you've already gotten through some of your worst days, and you're going to get through this too. So anyway, so I hope this helps you today. For those of you that we've never chatted, please click the discovery call link and you can book a session with me. 30 minutes it's a consultation. It's not a coaching call, an opportunity for me to understand more about what's going on and be able to make good recommendations for you on how to proceed. All right, take care.